This video is about undesirable features of taxonomic papers. Preparation of taxonomic paper. The success of a scientist depends on their production of scientific papers and the journal in which they publish. So the scientists should work hard for the preparation of the scientific paper and its publication in a famous journal. Structure of a scientific paper: title, author's name, abstract, keywords, introduction, materials and methods, body of the text, and synonymy. Once again, title, author's name, abstract, keywords, introduction, materials and methods, body of the text, and synonymy. The title: too long title. The title which doesn't give any idea about the species. This is an inappropriate one. A title which doesn't specify the location. The following are the bad examples of title: addition to the flora of Africa on some Indian insects. Such titles will not be of use for cataloging, abstracting. So too long title. The title doesn't give any idea about the species. A title which doesn't specify the location. Such titles will not be of use for cataloging, abstracting, etc. The specialists will not be able to understand whether these papers contain organisms of their interest or specialization, since the titles are vague and non-specific. Then author's name: using different names in different papers of the same author. It's going to be very difficult for other people to identify papers with the author. Then adding degrees and titles of the author is considered as an undesirable feature. Adding degrees and titles of the author is considered as an undesirable feature. When more than one author is involved, mentioning their names without giving priority based on their contribution. If all the authors are equally share a work, mentioning their names without considering the age or position. So you should consider their age and position. An abstract elaborated with more than 200 words, that's a big mistake. Then long paragraph with unnecessary explanations are considered as undesirable features. This whole video is about undesirable features. So whatever I mention are undesirable features. Okay. And keywords. Keywords with more than 8 words. Keywords with more than 8 words. A taxonomic paper without suitable keywords. New species: Arthropoda, Insecta, Hymenoptera, Parasitoid, Calicut, Kerala, India, like that. Introduction which doesn't specify the scope of the paper, which doesn't brief the review of the past work on the taxa, which doesn't explain the reason for undertaking the study. Usually an introduction which doesn't arouse interest and curiosity in the readers is considered to be an undesirable feature. And materials and methods: the paper which doesn't explain the materials used, procedures done during the research work, explaining all methods in detail without specifying the most relevant methods used in the study. Field-oriented research without detailed explanation of the study area, methods of sample selection, study period, procedures, etc. Lab-oriented research without detailed explanations about experimental specimens or materials, method of sample collection or selection, experimental setup used. Then body of the text. Body of the text without scientific name of each taxon, statement of generic types, descriptions, keys of concerned taxa, statements, type of localities, etc. is considered to be an undesirable feature. And synonymy. Revision, reviews and monographs without complete synonymy of every species or genus is considered as an undesirable feature. This paper without mentioning the name of the authors who synonymized the taxa. The paper without mentioning the name of the authors who synonymized the taxa. Paper which doesn't contain new synonymy. Then use of language in scientific papers. The success of a scientist depends on the production of scientific papers and the impact factor of the journal in which they publish. So history: before the 17th century, scientific publications were mostly written in Latin. By the mid-19th century, there were 3 primary languages used to promote scientific thought: English, French and German. English is certainly the language of science in the modern world, with an estimated 98% of all scientific publications being written in this language. Most of the major scientific journals published in English. Success is related to the publishing of in this language. Nowadays, anyone who wants to share their ideas must publish their work in English. So it makes problems for scientists and students who do not speak English as their first language. Lack of knowledge in English language also considered as an undesirable feature. Then difficulties in identifying taxa. It is very important to list all characteristics of that specimen carefully. And incorrect data may spoil your paper and lead to the search for the wrong species. So it is necessary to check the identity of the group before presenting the paper. Then other undesirable features misrepresent any information in the paper. Be honest with the readers. Include anything that doesn't answer the questions or solve problems you ought to be your research. Adding any unnecessary details, giving incomplete or absurd reasons for doing the research. Exceeding the recommended word limit. This shows you didn't respect the guidelines of the journal. Making too many generalizations in the paper without having your own voice in writing a paper. A paper full of overviews gives an impression that you have nothing to say. Writing for the sake of writing. Make sure that each of your findings support the course. Then cite Wikipedia as a reference source. That's a big no-no.